Let me ask you a question. Have you ever attended a strategic planning session where everyone talks about mission statements and value statements and has this clear plan and everyone's really excited and they end up saying, "Yay, we're done. That was so much fun." Well, gosh, what ends up happening with most times is this plan's created, it sits on the shelf, and then we have no idea whether or not we are able to achieve the result. And many people after it, a year later, will say, "Boo, we didn't get anything done." So what I would encourage you to do is take a look at strategic planning to be more results-driven than activity-driven. So we're going to explain what we mean by that. But so again, we're not meeting to do the strategic plan as an activity, we're meeting to produce a physical, tangible result. So if we look at other associations on how we worked with, here are some of the objectives that may have come up that you might have seen before. Well, one of the objectives is to increase membership satisfaction. That's an actual measurable thing that we can calculate after we're done. Also, perhaps it's membership savings. How much money were we able to save the members? Maybe it's non-dues revenue. Maybe we just put another $100,000 back in your budget because we were able to recapture some of that lost opportunity. So once we clearly define what those specific objectives are that are measurable, then we can choose the specific tactics. So what ends up happening is if we take a look at how we can decrease the decision-making time within the specific group or strategic planning session, is we're looking at 4 key items. Number 1 is the objectives, and we just discussed what those might be. So another reason why people never get to the specific goal that they put is because they don't choose the right tactics. Because you can spend a whole lot of money and time doing one thing, but if you choose the wrong option, chances are you've just wasted all of those resources. Another reason why associations never get to the goal is because they don't have the right execution in place. They don't have the right process working with the right individuals that it's mapped out ahead of time so everyone knows what their role is so things get done on time. And then finally is what's the accountability? If we don't hold our leaders accountable, if we don't hold our staff accountable to do the right things, chances are we'll never get to the specific goal. So if I were going to ask you in terms of planning out right now, which areas would you want to focus in on first? If you were going to create your association from scratch, or you would potentially alter what you already have. And so you would probably have different priorities that matter most. So maybe you say, well, gosh, Doug, we need to focus more on creating our value, what that means. Maybe is we already have the value, we already know who our customers are, but we need to work on our communication channels. We need to get our message out a little bit better. Or maybe, our costs are really high. We need to figure out how to be able to minimize that. Or we could say, revenue streams. Gosh, that's really important for us right now because we're running our budget at a deficit already. So what ends up happening is once we have laser focus on what we want to focus on, what some of those key activities are, then what we can do is put up sticky notes collectively as a group that would look something like this. And so then at the very end, now this becomes the specific tactics that we can use that would then create our execution plan. So within the staff that execute on the strategic plan, these are the individuals who might be on staff or maybe perhaps are outsourced. And keep in mind, here's the CEO that only asks a few questions to make sure that they get down to the result. Well, if staff members aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing in the right order, then chances are we're operating at a 10% efficiency rate as opposed to maybe an 85% efficiency rate. So this all comes down to having the right execution in place. Finally, as we look at accountability, how do we make sure everyone gets done what they're supposed to within a specific deadlines? So this is a unique thing to the association world called project management. So this is something that will help you create following to make sure that things happen on time as they're supposed to. So how do you prepare for something like this if these aren't items you haven't seen before? Perhaps you have new directors or new participants for your strategic plan that don't have any idea kind of where to start or begin, or maybe they need some refresher on some key concepts. So we created this 30-day email campaign that kind of lists step by step some of the things that we're going to talk about during the session, so that way you're prepared to have an educated conversation or more or less positive dialogue that moves the association forward. So we talked about a lot of things in a short period of time, but the key item is how do we do what we're doing to make sure that we're results driven, not activity driven, and we'll find that there's more sustainability in that and you'll be more relevant in years to come.